The bus returned on a day that felt too still. The square shimmered under sunlight, but the air was wrong, thick, trembling, as if it were breathing. Dust swirled around the tires, curling unnaturally, hanging like smoke that did not drift away. The townspeople froze. 2 years had passed. 2 years of empty chairs, whispers of vanished children, and silent prayers that went unanswered. And now, the bus was back. The children emerged slowly, one by one. Their eyes glimmered faintly, embers hidden beneath flesh, like light trapped behind glass. Some townspeople screamed, some knelt, some could not look. Parents reached for them, and yet the touch felt wrong, cool, hollow, as if they were touching the memory of a child, not the child itself. The air pulsed around them, faintly vibrating, as if acknowledging something ancient and unknowable had returned. Time had not moved for the children as it had for the town. Days for them stretched and warped. Roads that should have ended fell into darkness. Hills twisted into impossible slopes. Streets doubled back on themselves like puzzles. The bus moved without a driver. It swerved violently, speeding too fast to measure, then slowing impossibly, waiting, as if it were alive and impatient, as if it were testing them. The first to take the wheel had never driven. He gripped the wheel until his knuckles whitened. The bus seemed to lean toward danger, toward impossible cliffs, toward shadows that lurked at the edges of the world. Sometimes, the air inside the bus was thick, wet, smelling faintly of soil and smoke, of things decayed and unborn. Whispers brushed past their ears, names spoken in voices that were theirs and not theirs, all at once. They crossed a bridge of ice suspended over darkness. The surface shivered under the tires. Shadows ran across it like liquid, melting into nothing. One girl slipped and another grabbed her hand, but the bridge seemed to pulse, stretching and cracking in ways that should have been impossible. Breathing became a test, movement became prayer. Behind them, the void seemed to sigh. Figures waited in the forests, where the trees were alive with eyes and movement. Shadows bent in impossible ways. One child saw a teacher, or something like a teacher, twisting into shapes no human should occupy, whispering riddles in tongues that made their teeth ache. Another saw a parent, or a reflection of a parent, stretching, moving with impossible angles, staring with eyes that burned like ice. They could not flee, and they could not stop. Every step forward required instinct and madness intertwined. Food appeared and vanished. Water flowed, then evaporated from cupped hands. Sleep came only in fragments, in moments when reality cracked and dreams and waking bled into each other. Sometimes, a child would awaken in the bus, staring at a shadow that had shifted, that had not been there before, feeling an urge to move, to stare, to act, even though nothing made sense. When they returned, stepping off the bus, the town had aged 2 years. To them, it had been days or hours or moments stretched impossibly. Their eyes glimmered faintly, reflecting things the world could not name. They glimpsed fragments of what might be, fires, storms, accidents, betrayals, but always in pieces, never whole. The visions came unbidden, unasked for, and often left them trembling, haunted by choices they could not make. And the cost was subtle, but undeniable. One child's hands shook even when still. Another flinched at shadows that were nothing but their own imagination. A girl sometimes spoke softly to voices no one else could hear, responding as if they had always been there. Sleep brought tremors, nightmares that lingered like echoes through the day. They could no longer entirely inhabit the ordinary world. It felt too solid, too permanent, too slow. They had been stretched, pulled, and their bones remembered places the town could not imagine. The town reacted with fear, fascination, and suspicion. Some whispered curses, others demanded knowledge. The children did not offer it. Sometimes they tried to speak of what they had seen, but words shattered, leaving only fragments the townspeople could not hold. Still, the children acted when danger came. A storm rolled down from the mountains. Clouds heavy and black, wind tearing at rooftops, rivers swelled, panic rippled like electricity. The children moved almost as one, guided by visions they barely understood. They led families to higher ground, warned walkers, rescued children trapped by debris. Their eyes glimmered faintly, reflecting lightning and fragments of futures no one could name. The town survived, though no one could explain how. The children did not celebrate, they only moved, because to hesitate was to vanish into the impossibility they had already survived. Later, fire erupted on the outskirts. Flames seemed to pulse unnaturally, as if alive, shadows stretching along the smoke. The children acted again, moving through paths invisible to the town, predicting the fire's shifting paths. They guided fire breaks, evacuated homes, saved lives, but always with a quiet weight pressing on them. A reminder that seeing was not freedom, and acting was not choice. Slowly, the town changed. People prepared more, observed more, moved differently, though they could not explain why. Some fear lingered always, for the children carried something other than themselves, an echo of impossible places, fragments of impossible time. And the children bore consequences invisible to everyone else. Tremors, whispers, shadows, half visions of danger that came without reason, urges to act without understanding, sleepless nights that pulled at their bones. Some nights, when the town slept, the air would thrum faintly, vibrating with memory. The children could feel paths opening beneath their feet, edges of reality bending, and sometimes they glimpsed fragments of moments yet to come. No one could tell them why. Perhaps no one could ever tell. And perhaps that was the point, that survival carried costs, knowledge carried weight, and the world, strange, shifting, impossible, remained alive around them. The bus was gone again, as it had come, as if it had never existed. And the children, altered, haunted, watching, carried the memory of impossible places, fragments of impossible time, and a quiet, persistent awareness that the world was far stranger than anyone could know. The story did not end. It could not. It had only begun.